Hello students, my name is Prerna and I'm your EVS teacher. And today from your EVS book Enviro, we are going to be reading chapter number 11. So let us start reading it. So this is chapter number 11 and the name of the chapter is The Food We Eat. So we will start reading this chapter. All living things need food for their survival, right? So we all are well aware of this. So we all know that food is a necessity for our survival, right? Food gives us energy to carry out various activities. It protects us from diseases. We all eat different types of food. Taste of food. So when you eat something, how do you get its taste? Ever thought about it? How do you know that this chocolate is very tasty or this vegetable isn't good? No, I don't like it. So, which organ is used? Let's have a look. Taste of food. We like eating things which taste good to us. Some people love sweets while others relish spicy food. The tongue, teeth and saliva in our mouth helps us to taste the food. So the three organs are saliva, it's not really an organ, it's a kind of a fluid, then teeth and tongue. Our tongue is covered with small bumps called taste buds. Each taste bud has a tiny nerve that sends message to the brain. This is how we know whether something tastes sweet, salty, sour or bitter. So you can see this diagram of a tongue and how different taste buds give us different taste. So the sides, they tell us something which is sour or salty, and the front portion tells us something which is sweet, the back portion telling us something which is bitter, and how exactly does it taste. Now we talk about digestion of food. So we generally eat 3 meals in a day: breakfast, lunch and dinner. So what happens to the food inside our body? It gets digested. So how does this entire digestion takes place? Digestion is an important process by which the food we eat gets converted into substances which can be observed by the body. The process of digestion takes the following step. The first is the mouth. So we intake our food using our mouth. The process of digestion begins from the moment we put food into our mouth. Our teeth bite and chew the food and break it into small pieces. And to ensure that your food is properly digested from stage 1, that is from your mouth, you might have heard your parents saying, bite your food properly, don't just gulp it, right? Because digestion starts here in the mouth itself. This is the beginning of digestion of food. And that is why it is also said that you should chew your food nicely. Then you have saliva. While our teeth do their work, our tongue mixes the food with a watery liquid called saliva, also called spit. Saliva is produced by the salivary glands in the mouth. It helps to soften the food. So this is the mouth and the salivary glands are here. It has enzymes that start the process of digestion in the mouth itself. Enzymes are tiny bits of protein which speed many different processes in the body. So here we talk about glucose. The enzyme in saliva breaks down food into simpler, smaller substance called glucose, which is also called as blood sugar. Basically, what provides us immediate energy. It is this sugar that goes into our blood to give us the energy to do different activities. When you eat starchy food like rice, chapati, bread or potatoes, the taste changes as you chew your food in the mouth. This is because enzymes in saliva act on the mashed food and convert the carbohydrate into glucose. Now, why do we need glucose? It is a form, glucose is a form in which food can be absorbed by the blood. After you have eaten a meal, the sugar level in your blood rises. That is the energy, then your energy, you start gaining energy. Then with the help of chemical called insulin, which is released by your pancreas, the glucose molecules move into the body cells with where they can be used as a fuel or as an energy giving, uh, you can say energy giving material. If you have been working hard for a while without eating, your glucose level falls. You start feeling weak. When sports person are playing games and need instant energy, they drink a mix of glucose and water usually. Why do they do that? So that they get instant energy. And sometimes if a person faints due to lack of glucose, that person is generally given a liquid drip by the doctor. It is called as a glucose drip. This is because sometimes a person is unwell and has dehydration or weakness as the illness. Then liquid glucose is injected into the blood through the needle and tube of the glucose bottle. So now we've studied about mouth and saliva. Now we talk about food pipe, also known as esophagus, through which it's like a pipe. So what is the function of a pipe? What the pipe that you use at home? It transports, let's say, water from the tap to wherever you want it to be taken, to the plants or maybe to the veranda, right? So this is exactly what the esophagus or the food pipe does. It is a strong muscular pipe that connects the mouth to the stomach. No digestion takes place here, and that is why, and I'm repeating this, why you need to chew your food, because if you do not chew your food, it gets stuck in the food pipe and it can be very problematic. So it's important to chew your food. So this pipe, what it does, it carries the food into the stomach. It is a flexible sac-like structure. Digestive juices produced by the stomach break down the proteins present in the food. So now this glucose, it breaks down into proteins. So in stomach, your stomach is divided into small, not exactly divided, but it's a combination of small intestine and large intestine. So small intestine, the partially digested food goes to a long coiled. So it's like this long coiled tube called the small intestine. It takes the help of liver, pancreas and gallbladder to further break down the food mixture. So here in this diagram, you can see the small intestine. So in the small intestine, this is a coiled tube where the undigested food is stored, and it takes the help of liver and pancreas to digest the food. Then you have the large intestine. Some part of the food we eat is not digested. This waste cannot be used by the body, right? It passes into the large intestine where the water is absorbed from it, turning it into a semi-solid mixture. The large intestine pushes the semi-solid mixture to the rectum, from where it goes through the anus, right? So this is how the entire digestion takes place. So I always tell my students, this entire digestive system is like a factory, body factory, which you need to ensure that you take care of. But how do you take care of that? So you're chewing your food well, you are eating all your meals on time, but then again, there is still some problem with your digestive system. Why? Let's check out if you are eating the right food or not. So we discussed the topic about balanced diet and food habits. So if you're eating pizzas and burgers and chips every day and saying, oh, I'm chewing them very well, it's not going to help, because you're not having a balanced diet or the proper diet. Your food habits are incorrect. A diet that contains adequate amount of all the nutrients required for healthy growth and activity is called a balanced diet. Our body needs nutrients such as carbohydrates, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins, which is not really present in the junk food. Food habits differ from region to region depending on the climate, the locally grown crops, and the cultural habits of the people. You will notice that traditional food preparations that your grandparents and the elderly people ate used simple ingredients. Here are a few examples, like in Nagaland, Mizoram, and Manipur, people mostly eat boiled food. Why? Because oil seeds are not there, so they cannot have oil for cooking. Then, locally grown vegetables such as squash, gourds, and beans are eaten. Mustard leaves are also boiled and eaten. So these are just the certain habits that are given here. So example of Punjab is given, where people like to eat makki ki roti and saag. Then in Gujarat you have people who like to eat things like thepla, khakra. Then in Bengal coastal areas people prefer to eat rice, fish, because fish of course is easily available. And why do they eat rice? Because of the moisture, uh, and so it helps, it is easily digested. Then traditional food is usually well balanced with enough carbohydrates, protein, minerals, fats, and vitamins. So you need to ensure that you're eating proper food. You might have heard or you might have seen in your home also that when it is extremely hot, people refrain from eating oily food. Why? Because in extreme hot weather, eating oily food can create digestion issues. Then you have imbalanced diet or changing food habits. The liking of food in new generation is changing. Fast foods, burgers, noodles, chips, and soft drinks have become common. These are not healthy because they do not provide any nutrient at all, and that's why they are known as junk food, meaning waste. This will not benefit you, rather, it will harm you completely. Moreover, they're expensive. Earlier, people used to eat local grown fruits, vegetables, and crops. Have you ever thought to yourself that what is that fruit? Sorry, is it like in my diet, daily diet? Do I eat a fruit every day? I'm sure most of us don't. Imagine, we are not consuming fruits, we are not consuming leafy vegetables. All we are consuming is junk food, which is harming our body terribly. And what happens when your body harms, uh, when your body is harmed? You develop certain diseases. So now we are going to talk about diseases, and we're particularly going to talk about deficiency diseases. But let's just understand the definition first. Due to imbalanced diet or changing food habits, we do not get proper nutrition. An illness caused due to insufficient amount of nutrients is known as deficiency diseases. So let's say your body is lacking in carbohydrates. You get carbohydrates from things like things like chapatis or potatoes maybe. But let's say there are no carbohydrates in your diet. What is the disease that is likely to be caused? It is called as marasmus, wherein the child becomes so thin that he loses folds of skin, and that loose folds of skin can be seen all over the body, and the ribs of the child can be seen. How do you build carbohydrates in your body? Is rice, wheat, potatoes, maize. These are some examples. Let's say someone is suffering from deficiency of proteins. The disease is called as kwashiorkor. And what happens in this disease? What is the symptom? How do we know that the person is suffering from kwashiorkor? When the belly or the abdomen of the child, it becomes swollen and it bulges out, and the legs also become thin. So foods which are rich in protein are eggs, fish, meat, cereals, and dal. Someone who's suffering from iron will likely to suffer is likely to suffer from a disease called anemia, and that person is also called as anemic. That is, person has less hemoglobin produced in the blood. The blood carries less oxygen in the body. So how do you improve upon that? You eat eggs, you eat pulses, green leafy vegetables, and cereals. Someone who is suffering from the deficiency of iodine is likely to suffer from a disease called goiter, wherein the thyroid gland, it gets swelled up. You might have even seen a few people, maybe somewhere, that people whose thyroid gland, this part of the throat, is extremely swollen because they're suffering from iodine. So you can eat fish, seafood, or iodized salt to actually ensure that you do not catch this deficiency disease. Now, someone who's suffering from calcium and phosphorus deficiency, there will be improper development of bones and teeth. The bones and teeth become weak and brittle. So, how do you improve on that? Milk is there, green leafy vegetables, fish, you can eat all these. Someone who's suffering from deficiency of vitamin A will catch night blindness. That is, the person will not be able to see in the night. And how do you improve that? Carrot, butter, milk, spinach. Vitamin B, berry, what happens? Skin, it becomes extremely dry and scaly, and the person always feels very weak. And also the nervous system, it does not function properly. These are the foods you can eat to overcome the deficiency of vitamin B. Vitamin C, very important, and most of us miss on this. This is one of the most important vitamin. It causes a disease called scurvy, which affects your gums, and this starts swelling as well as bleeding. So you can eat a lot of citrus foods like lemon, oranges, tomatoes. You can eat all these. Then vitamin D, deficiency of vitamin D causes rickets. What happens? Bones and joints do not grow well. And these are the foods through which this deficiency can be overcome. So I'm sure all of us want a healthy body. So we need to ensure that we are taking vitamins, proteins, carbohydrates, minerals in the right quantity. Now, the next topic that we are going to talk about is spoilage of food, that how food gets spoiled. Once plant or animal matter is harvested or killed, its tissues start to decay. Microorganisms such as fungi and some other kind of bacteria usually cause the spoilage. That is why it is important to eat fresh food. Raw food items should be washed properly so that the dirt or the germ or the chemicals on them, they can be removed. And raw fruits and vegetables, they should be eaten up soon after they are brought, or they might get spoiled. Cooking is one way to stop the spoiling of food because heat kills bacteria. However, even cooked food will soon start attracting bacteria if it is left lying around, specifically uncovered. It should be eaten soon and refrigerated once it has cooled. Heat and water attract these spoilers, so it is important to keep food in cool and dry places to ensure that it doesn't spoil. Food preservation. The process in which the food materials are given a suitable physical or chemical treatment to prevent their spoilage is called as food preservation. We're going to talk about different methods of food preservation. First is cooling. Food spoiling bacteria do not grow and multiply in cold conditions. So when food materials like cooked vegetables and pulses, milk, fresh foods, etc., they are kept in a cool place like refrigerator, they do not get spoiled easily. Fish and meat can be stored in deep freezers for months. But that doesn't mean that you make this a habit that you store particular food for months and then decide to eat it. Next method is drying. Drying is one of the oldest methods of preserving food. The food spoiling bacteria do not grow well in dry conditions. So many vegetables like methi leaves, spinach, cauliflower, basically the green leafy vegetables, and ginger, they can be preserved in our homes just by drying them in the sun. Next method is boiling. Boiling kills all food spoiling bacteria and fungi and prevents the food from spoilage. For example, when we boil milk, the food spoiling bacteria present in it also get killed. Then is sweetening and salting. So you kind of preserve it by adding a layer of salt or sweetening material. Some of the fruits and vegetables like raw mango, amla, and lemon can be preserved in the form of pickles by using salt as a preservative. So you marinate them with salt. Some fruits like ripe mango, apples, oranges, strawberry, etc. can also be preserved in the form of jams and jellies by using sugar as a preservative. Salt and sugar remove water from the food material. So obviously when the water is removed, the moisture is gone. So the uh, bacteria that can spoil it is also gone. Potatoes and bananas are preserved in the form of wafers by drying and using salt as preservative. And if you have never tasted banana chips, you must. They are very healthy and they're very tasty as well. Next is canning. That in this method, food is first heated to a high temperature to kill food spoiling bacteria and fungi, and then sealed in airtight cans to prevent attack of microorganisms. And then you can also use chemical preservatives like sodium metabisulfate. They kill all the food spoiling bacteria. So we've learned so much about a necessity of our life, that is our food. And we need to ensure that we respect the food that we get every day, and we should never ever waste food. Thank you so much.